A video projector to keep the kids entertained, and maybe you too. Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out this. This is the EZCast Beam V3, and it's an LED video projector. Now, it's a fairly unassuming little device, but it does push out 200 lumens, so it's reasonably bright if you're in a dark space. In a well-lit space like this, you're not going to see much of anything. That's the reality of all projectors. Unless you get something with thousands of lumens, which costs a lot of money, you really need to be in a really dark space. So I'm going to give you a lot of demo, but we're going to have to turn all the lights off. But before we get there, let me talk to you just a little bit about it. So first off, this is really cool because it does landscape and portrait mode. So you can actually use it projecting this way, and you can do it wirelessly from your Android or iPhone or Mac or PC. And you can use this, so obviously for things like Instagram or TikTok, ideal. This is why I was saying that it might be great for the kids. But either way, it does 1080p at 120 hertz, so it's actually pretty clean, and it's 1,000:1 contrast ratio. It's actually a pretty nice, bright image. Once you get it onto the right surface, I actually have a what would you call this? A movie projector screen. It's a fabric screen I bought off Amazon that is designed specifically to be the screen for projection systems. So that really helps. It's a good luminosity, it's a good reflectivity, and of course it's a completely neutral white. Now, the lamp, that's one of the big things. These are really all about the lamps. And this is a 30,000 hour LED lamp. So theoretically, you should be able to use this until the end of time and never have an issue. Now, one of the things a lot of these tend to do is they have crappy little speakers. And these guys, EZCast, sidestepped that. So in the back, you actually have a 5-watt speaker. Now, it is mono, but it is certainly enough to be able to listen to the audio from a movie, TV show, the game, whatever it is you want to do. In fact, you can even use this as a Bluetooth speaker if you want. So you can do wired or wireless connections. It supports, let me show you on the side, it supports a headphone jack, great addition, HDMI, USB, and then this little mystery spot that says wireless kit. Actually, it comes with an additional gizmo you put in, and I can't get it to come back out. It fits in to the unit, and this gives you all that wireless access. You definitely want to have that too. I believe it comes in the box, but double check when you're looking. And it also supports Miracast, DLNA, AirPlay, Chromecast. I mean, basically, however you like to send and push wireless content, it'll work. For example, with my iPhone, you can see here that when I was just trying it with AirPlay, all I had to do was open up AirPlay, make sure they were both on the same Wi-Fi network, and then choose the EZCast Beam V3, and I was good to go. Again, I'll give you that demo in just a second. Now, one of the downsides is it does have a manual focus. Let me pop this little annoying lid off, come back to that. But you do have to manually focus it. Some of these actually have an automatic focus where it can just sort of project and see what it's projecting. I don't exactly know how that works, but it's pretty handy because my experience with projection systems is you are not infrequently adjusting the focus because it seems like they drift out of focus just a little bit. Maybe my expectations are high, but be that as it may, you will need to actually get it all set up and positioned and have the wall clear for it to project onto, and then fine-tune that focus to get it just right. So, enough talking about it. Let me go ahead and give you the demo, and then we'll come back and I'll show you a little bit more about the system, show you the remote, and we'll talk about the pros and the cons. So, let's fade to black. We're going to start here at the home screen, and you can see all the different compatibility it has, but since I have my PC hooked up via HDMI, let's just use the remote to choose HDMI and see how that looks. Let's see if this works. And there we go. So here's HDMI, and I can log into my PC, maybe. Oh, well, here we go. So it's going to be a little tricky because I can't see the screen. No, that was wrong. It is in fact hard to work in the dark. There we go. So you can see that the HDMI connection is really clean and crisp. There's a lot to like here. And using this with your PC, and then if on your PC you happen to have something like Netflix, this is going to work really well. But let's actually leave this and go back to home with the button on the remote. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look. I happen to have put a flash drive in, and there should be some content on it. So I'm going to go to USB, and let's see what videos are on there, and you'll get some sound too. So it is possible I have the first season of Westworld from HBO on this flash drive. So let's watch the opening of the first episode, just for a couple of seconds, because I obviously don't have broadcast rights for this. But this speaker is the actual projector. So you can hear. I'll turn it up all the way. So it's giving us HBO, it's giving us Westworld. All of this is coming off a flash drive. It's, I think, an MP4 file. And we have pause and play and various other controls. So I can pause this so that I don't have HBO asking me what the deal is. So that's the flash drive. We've looked at HDMI. Now let's have a little more fun. I'm going to go back to home. And this time, when we get it back to the home screen, which I know it can do, well, there we go. Apparently you have to focus the remote to the front. So now, actually, most of these other inputs represent different ways of connecting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose iOS, and then you get this pretty crazy complicated screen here. But what I'm going to do on my phone, it should just work, is I'm just going to choose screen mirroring. Oops, I think I might be on the wrong network. Let me double check real quick what Wi-Fi network I'm on. I am on the wrong one. I will switch. And it's interesting because the beam actually shows up as a Wi-Fi network, but we don't want that. So let's see this. And now I'll go to screen mirroring, and this should show up. There we go. I'm going to tap on it. And if everything's working correctly, and the phone gods are with us, then voila. So now what can we do? Well, in horizontal mode, it is unfortunately the case that while some programs actually work with a remote or Apple sharing, a lot of them don't. But the good news is that turns out the TCM app is quite friendly for this. So if I do this, and you can see the focus has wandered a little bit. So let's just see if we can get that focus just a little better. And now I'll push play, and the phone changes orientation, but so this is streaming wirelessly off my phone to the EZCast projector. Tell me that's not pretty cool, right? But we're not done yet. Let's actually pause this, because again, I don't have rights for this. And I want to show you one other really neat thing this projector can do, is it can actually switch orientation. So if I choose settings and I choose image, you can see the choices are color, image, and audio. And on image, I can go into portrait mode and I can turn that on. Well, theoretically turn it on. And so what does that get me? Well, when I turn the projector sideways, which is a little tricky because of the other things I have plugged in, so I will unplug them. So now, let's just move this forward a little bit, and obviously I'll have to refocus it. And it's not entirely on my projector, but you can see now for certain apps that might have a vertical orientation instead of a horizontal orientation, this works perfectly. So this is really fun. If you want to watch TikTok or Instagram or something like that. In fact, let's go into my Instagram and let's obviously get the settings off of here. Now, this is, I gotta say, a pretty cool way to look at Instagram using the projector in its vertical, not horizontal orientation. And of course, if I wanted to use this more, then I would actually tilt it up, which I can do here, and maybe move it forward even a little more to get it to be just so. But I gotta say, this projector has a lot of cool features you can see. So now let's switch back to me being on camera. It's really hard to capture how nice and bright and crisp and colorful the projection system is. I did my best with my camera. I know it's not as good as having it on the wall in your own place, but be that as it may, hopefully that gives you at least a good sense of how it works. And yes, it is hard to actually log into your computer when it's completely dark and your keyboard doesn't light up. I have a feeling I need to change the setting and then the keyboard would light up. Be that as it may, I hope the demo was really interesting, and I want to just show you a little bit more about this. So we already looked at the side with all the input ports. I want to show you that on the top there is a duplication of buttons, so you don't have to use the remote. And one of the things that I find really annoying about this is that the cover for the lens doesn't actually tend to stay in, but it has this little elastic tether, which is super cheap. And I think the first thing I would do would be to cut that off and just get rid of the lens cover, because, I mean, there might be some way to get it to stay in. I guess that's actually a little better. But honestly, I'm not sure how often I would need it, and I certainly don't need it to be attached, particularly if it is my goal to actually have it tilted up a little bit. And for that, it actually includes these two little bumpers. Now, these are really more for heat vent and heat mitigation. So, for example, if you want to use it in that vertical or portrait mode, you put these on. You can see it from the side. And now you actually have a nice stable configuration, and it actually helps with heat dissipation because it does get hot, right? So doing something like that works fine. I have to admit that these are just soft foam. I mean, I expected them to be somehow a harder plastic, but you almost might think that they're part of the packing material. They're not. And if you're curious, I guess here's the flash drive I was using. Here's the phone I was using. I can't show you the PC, but I just plugged it in via HDMI on the side. And here's the power. They did a nice job with the power adapter. So plug it in, and then plug in, and it's not a particularly long cord, but plug that into the side of the projector, and you can do everything. See how annoying that is, right? You can do everything just with the top controls. So for example, a push and a hold on power will turn it on, and momentarily you should see there. So you can see that the projection is starting to work. This is probably going to mess up my camera a little bit, so I'm going to turn it back off. But there is some fan noise you can hear. Not super annoying. Well, having it projecting into my camera might, however, be super annoying. And so then we get to the remote, and the remote's pretty important, but you have to point it at the front of the device. And a lot of these companies do this. I don't really know why. They need to have a remote sensor on the front and the back so you can use it in either orientation. But you saw even in my demo video, I was having some problems getting it to see the buttons. But here's a close-up, and you can see it's a pretty nice set of functionality, and it's a pretty simple design, though I have yet to figure out exactly what the top right double arrow button does. That's how it goes. I will note that this lets you adjust volume, but the onboard controls on the projector itself do not give you volume control. Not sure what that's about, but seems like a very logical addition, or even a slider for volume or something would be really nice. But I always wonder, what happens if you lose the remote? Are you completely out of luck? And in this case, you'd have a really hard time adjusting the volume, because you'd have to go into settings, audio, volume, up, up, down, down, whatever. Much more inconvenient than just the two buttons right here on the remote. So We have the remote, we have the projector, we have the little feet, we have the lens cover. Really, I've kind of given you the full deal. So now let me tell you the dimensions. So it is 9 inches by 6.6 inches. I'm not sure where they get that dimension from. I guess that's the depth. So it's 6 inches deep, and it's 3.5 inches tall, and it's 2.6 pounds, and this lens cap's gotta go. There is a screw hole on the bottom. It looks like this could be for you using it as a foot, but it really doesn't work very well that way. What it does instead is it gives you, if you take it all the way out, it gives you the ability to mount it onto something like a projection mount system. So that's handy if for some reason you wanted to put it into the ceiling or something, right? So that's good to know. It weighs, like I said, 2.6 pounds, and power-wise, this can plug into anything from 100 to 240 volts, 50 or 60 hertz. So it has pretty wide flexibility, which is really nice. And because you can use this wired or wirelessly, it really can be something for on the go, though it's kind of big to put in your suitcase. If you're doing like a road trip or something, you could definitely have all of this in a bag with cables. And I want to point out that in the box, there are no cables of any sort other than power. So you're really on your own if you want to use HDMI or anything like that. But with all these wireless options, you might never feel like you need to. So trade-offs, right? But it does become relatively self-contained, and who knows, maybe if you have it in a little travel bag, you will actually like the lens cap. For me, that's for the birds, but that's just my personal taste. So let's talk about the price, but before we get to the price, I'm going to ask if you can subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate when you do that. Just go ahead and click or tap on that little red button and give me some feedback. It's really hard to know how to demo these video projectors, so I tried to figure out what I could do. Obviously, it was a super dark space, so my camera has limited capabilities in that environment, but leave a comment and let me know whether it was useful, whether you wish I would have had a little more environmental lighting, you wanted a longer piece of or segment of any of the videos or whatever. Let me know, give me some feedback. That's great for my next review. So, okay, with all that, this is the EZCast Beam V3, and it's a pretty solid option for its, sort of price point and for its use case. I really like that you can use it in portrait mode. I really absolutely loathe this lens cover, which I'm just gonna lose. The whole wireless thing, the fact that it works with AirPlay off my phone, super convenient. This would be really fun to have in a hotel room or while you're traveling or going to grandma's and the kids are just bored and they want to play a game big rather than tiny on their screens. So that could be really fun. Worth checking out. EZCast Beam V3, $149.99, but when I checked on Amazon, there was a $15 discount code, which puts it down to $134.99 at Amazon.com, which is a pretty good price for a video projection system with this number of capabilities and this level of flexibility. So check it out if that's something your family is desperate to pick up, or if you want to just use it at a trade show. It might not work at a trade show because of the brightness, but if you want to use it in the office or you want to just use it for yourself. So that's all I got. I hope to catch you on my next video, and I'll catch you later.